Hello and welcome to Bear Football, part of the Barroom Network. It's a late night edition after the Sunday night game. The Bears fall to the Packers 27-10 in a game that is frustrating and aggravating and mystifying and a lot of questions surrounding this team afterwards. I'm John Buffone. Joining me is Danny Shimon and Tyler Gaines Ellis. Gentlemen, thanks for being up late with us to talk about this game. Second half, you saw some adjustments. You saw David Montgomery get more involved with this offense. But at the end of the day, the Bears fall. They don't get a touchdown that might have been a touchdown. But more importantly, I'm going to start off by saying you run the ball down the Packers' throat the entire way down the field. You're on the 1-inch yard line, and you go into shotgun to try to find a way into the end zone when you've been bowling them over with David Montgomery the whole time. If you don't have confidence in your line to get an inch, then what the hell were you doing the entire way down the field on that drive? I don't know if anyone on this show agrees with the shotgun Justin Fields run, but I thought it was absolute BS. I know he probably got in. I know it was probably a touchdown, but it was aggravating to me. Maybe I'm old school, but I think that you can make a statement to say, we're going to blow your asses off the line. We're going to get an inch to get us back into the ball game. That's where we're going to start off. Gentlemen, where do you stand on that? Danny, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's they were getting that ball down the field. At halftime, we talked about the Bears coming back out and establishing the run game. David Montgomery was fabulous in that first drive where they scored that touchdown. I said get back to running the football, and they did eventually, right? And they just right down the field, and then they got cute, right? They got into that shotgun at fourth and 1. It's like, all right, just get in an I formation. You have a fullback, hand it off, even if you fake it and you roll out Justin Fields. Now you allow him to kind of get out of the pocket, break, get away from the big bodies and maybe try and roll him to the end zone. So, having said all that, I do think he scored. I think that was evident. I'm not sure what they're looking at replay, but I think that ball did break the plane. So I think that was a touchdown, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, also the passing game, I know they're trying, and this is something I talked about they're going to do is they're going to kind of just rely on the run game and just kind of bring Justin along in the passing game. But he's 7 of 11 today in terms of, only 11 attempts. I mean, do you actually think you're going to go down and beat Green Bay in Green Bay with just 11 passing attempts? I'm not saying throw it 40 times, 50 times, but you got to do a little bit more, some more creativity in terms of, getting that ball down the field and all that stuff. So, just a ton of questions for me in terms of the offensive game plan for today. You're running the ball great that first drive, then all of a sudden you went away from it. So I don't know. It's just confusion, but it would have been huge. You get that touchdown, make it a 1-score game. But then we saw what the Packers did when they got the ball back, right? Drove right down the field and got a field goal. So it's obviously this is a step up in class the Bears not ready for in terms of talent, in terms of overall, overall in terms of a team, both offense, defense, special teams. So it's something that they gave an effort. I like the fact that they fought back in the second half. They didn't just put their heads in between their legs and just kind of took their beating. They kind of fought back, showed that the youthful exuberance, and did not want to just give up on the game. But unfortunately, the better team won.
Gaines, you're joining us for the first time tonight. What's your takeaway?
Well, that sucks. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that sucks. I just gave away my mortgage, but I mean, it was. I mean, John, I'm trying to be positive, bro, and I was like, but no, truthfully, we got more work to do. I just saw. I mean, we probably had double-digit missed tackles, and that's the main thing. We could have had tackles for a loss that ended up being like 7-yard gains and 8-yard gains, and so we still got some growing. We still have a ton of growing to do. Kyler Gordon, in my opinion, definitely needs some. Did not. I don't want to say just some work. I know he's still getting adjusted to that nickel position. But he had that one great defense in the end zone. I'm not pissed. I'm just like damn. I thought we were there. I was hoping we're there. Even if we didn't come away with the win, which I definitely thought we were going to win this game. I did take the money line because I just felt like we were going to get the pressure, and we did get the pressure. But it was just like either we got the sack or he made us pay times 2. And so that's where I'm at with. I saw a couple of different good things, John, but it really comes from the missed tackles overall that we just couldn't stop him.
Yeah, I thought David Montgomery really came alive in the second half. I like that he became the showpiece. They were breaking off whenever they'd make a mistake and it was second and 20. He was picking up the first downs on 20-yard run. So it was nice to see that. But Danny, to your point, how many games are you going to win throwing the ball 11 times? And especially against a team like Green Bay where you're going to have to put up points. And say what you want about the refs and the missed calls and there probably was going to be a touchdown. I get all that. But at some point, your quarterback's got to play quarterback. And I know their game plan and what they were doing, and they were pushing the ball down the field, or they were getting the ball down the field, running the ball. But even if they score there, let's just say they do score a touchdown there, and they get the ball back with a couple minutes left. You need your quarterback to probably throw the ball down the field because you're probably not going to have enough time just to keep running it. So, what do you think? Is this really, in your opinion, is this really just the Bears are going to take it super, super slow with Justin Fields, and next week he might throw it 15 times, and by the end of the season, hell, he might hit 20? Like, is this really just a coddling process, or what's going on?
Well, I mean, like, and then although maybe you can check this, I think last weekend he had more passing attempts than this weekend. Last week he played in the monsoon, so I'm curious to see what the stats are for last weekend's game. But yeah, I mean, and I expect them to kind of bring them along slowly. But again, you're falling into a situation here with 11 passing attempts versus a team like Green Bay. I understand, you're trying to kind of bring this kid along slowly here, but at some point you're gonna have to let the reins loose. Again, I'm not trying to say 40 pass attempts, 40 dropbacks, 50 dropbacks, nothing like that. No way. But let's get into the 20s. Let's get into the high teens at least. I mean, it's 11 passing attempts, but
17 last week in a monsoon.
17 there you go. 17 last week in a monsoon, and only on 11 today, right? So that's the thing that's kind of disappoints me. Was like, I'm not sure what the offensive game plan was. I talked about it again. I'm repeating myself here. First drive, awesome. David Montgomery was a focal point of that drive. You guys went down the field, touchdown, great. And then you kind of went away with that, right? And it was a lot of 3-and-outs. I think they didn't get a first down after that first series up until that second, in the second half, right? So that tells you like the offense just was not clicking. So again, offensive game plan today was a little bit mystifying for me. Defensively, like I said, that first half they were getting gashed with the run, kind of shorted up a little bit in that second half. Still had some big runs there, but with Aaron Jones, but yeah, just offensively they couldn't kind of complement that defense what they were putting today in terms of effort on the football field. So we'll see what happens next week when they come back out again. But yeah, you got to kind of ramp up the offensive passing game here sooner rather than later for me.
Yeah, and Tyler, a lot of people were talking about, well, who's he throwing it to? Maybe the receivers aren't getting open. Where's Cole Kmet? Where's Darnell Mooney? Why are they not getting separation? Where do you see this falling as? Is this a fair balance of Fields not getting the opportunity to throw the ball, and maybe there aren't people getting open, or why do we see such a lack of at least trying to get the passing game a little bit more involved? The fact where we can't even get 20 pass attempts.
I mean, Luke Getsy talked about it at one of the last press conferences. They have a game plan, and he said they're going to stick to it. I was hoping for some severe halftime adjustments to try to get those people involved. I think I saw he tried to force it to Cole a couple times, but separation or not, you see quarterbacks going after their guy. I mean, you saw that throughout the entire NFL today. Guys going to people in double, triple coverage. Mark Andrews, triple coverage. Lamar still going to him, like even with the flat wide open, because they used to develop that trust and bond. And so I just feel like not that they're taking them around slow, but when you have those many less attempts, you're more nervous to do so because you're not really warmed up to the idea to go in there. And so it's really kind of conflicting because we're talking about 11 pass attempts and one of them was an interception. So it's like we're talking about 10 pass attempts. Like that's kind of crazy to even say. Like we were hoping Darnell Mooney or Cole would have 10 receptions each. That's what that's what I'm looking for out of our upgraded offense. And so, but I'm falling back. I'm cautioning restraint with judgment just because this coaching staff, I just want to see how they adjust. We saw how the previous regime, how they would adjust, not adjust. I'm still going to fall back to this coaching staff to see, okay, they caught us early. How are we going to come back? How can we come back from this? How can we come back from this? We're not there yet. I still got his pick to win the division. God bless me. They give me $1,000. They give me $1,000 and 1 odds. They give me 1,000 odds. $50, $2,000. Like, come on.
There's a reason for that. But I'm gonna try to put some perspective on this. I'm still really pissed off about the goal line call, the shotgun call. I'm not going to try to dwell on that for too long. I hated it because I just feel like prove yourself, blow them off the line, and prove that you deserve to be on the same field. But let's put this in perspective. Looking at the schedule before the year, no one assumed that the Bears were to go into Lambeau and win this game. So no one, and quite frankly, if they don't get the turnover early in the second half, and some things don't go their way as far as a bad snap off of Christian Watson, you could have seen this been a 31-10 game very quickly in the second half. It just didn't work like that. This is not a game that we all thought was, oh, that's a win. You're gonna have that win. So they did kind of stick around to the end, which you do appreciate. But what irritates me is you had a chance to really get in the game. You had a chance to really compete in the game. You could have pulled it to within one score in the fourth quarter and one more break your way, and all of a sudden it could be a tie game. Like, the opportunity was there to take advantage of an opportunity. And so that's what irritates me the most, because if they were getting the doors blown off them and they were down by 30, I would just be like, hurry up and get this clock done so we can get into this show. Right. But the fact of the matter was there was an actual opportunity there to put your stamp on the game, and they couldn't do that. So,
John, the big opportunity, the big opportunity was 2 quick NFC victories. That would have been just huge.
Oh yeah,
and then the Packers obviously getting 2 divisional losses, and so it's really surprising that we didn't stay in the attack mode, like you said. Like with David Montgomery, looked fresh. He looked like he had fresh cutting legs coming out, and it just looked like he really wanted to run. Those holes. A couple holes were there that he didn't have last week. And so some things were very surprising. I'm interested to see what the coaches say in their press conference. Luke is they're kind of transparent a little bit. And so I kind of want to hear what they say when that audio comes up. But a question that I have for Danny, like, just your thoughts, bro, on Justin, because I believe in that guy. I love that guy. I was on Mully and Hall yesterday, and they were talking about Justin. Is Justin just still, is he still just like a kid happy to be starting in the NFL? Or, like, do you feel like he's just still settling to having a starting job? Because, like, throwing the pass after the line of scrimmage, then scrambling, that last interception, I felt like he could have scrambled for more yards before throwing that last pick. What do you think?
Yeah, and for me, Justin, it's obviously the way I'm looking at Justin. I'm approaching it. This is his rookie year, because I think last year, I know he got 12 starts last year, but that was a messed up staff. That was a offensive game plan that didn't fit his style. I think this staff is coming in kind of starting fresh, kind of just bringing them along slowly here. And that's something that I had predicted. Like I said, just kind of rely on the running game, rely on David Montgomery, rely on Khalil Herbert, and kind of pound that air and then just kind of bring them along slowly. Kind of like how the Patriots did with Mac Jones last year. You saw how that first couple of weeks, it was like 4, 5, 6 weeks. They're just kind of bringing him along. He wasn't that many attempts or anything like that. It was more than 11 in the game, that's for sure. But, they're kind of bringing him along in terms of the passing game. And by the end of the season, he was a guy that was kind of humming in terms of that offense. So that's why I see Justin Fields now. With me, in terms of what I saw today, again, a couple of times he held onto the ball a little bit too long. There was a couple of times also where I liked his pocket presence. He felt the pressure, kind of got away, from the pressure, and then was able to either, dump the ball off or just, run, maybe get a couple of yards. That one play where he went over the line of scrimmage, obviously that's something you're going to have to know your surroundings, going to have to know where that line is, and can be, he was like 2 yards over that line of scrimmage. So that's something that he has to have to get better at there. But, it's something like, I think, again, it's like, for me, he's a rookie. He's just kind of working his way up and getting his confidence going here and there. I just think that, unfortunately, the weapons are what they are right now. And then that play to the interception to St. Brown, I mean, I think St. Brown could have done a better job of coming towards the ball. Again, Justin was kind of rolling away from the action and then now just kind of throwing it to the sideline. I think Brown just kind of like try to let that ball come to him, where Jair Alexander made a hell of a play. You see why that kid's like an all-pro cornerback, one of the higher paid cornerbacks in the NFL. He came across the field, cut across that play, undercut that throw, and made a hell of an interception. So that's a hell of a play by Jair Alexander, but also I think St. Brown could have done a better job maybe coming towards the football and making a play. Again, they're going to break it down. You're going to look at it in multiple different ways. But just kind of going back again to what John had said earlier was, a lot of people have the Bears at 0-2 right now, right? After the first two opponents. The fact that they're 1-1, I think is a positive start, right? This is a game, guys, like, and Tyler, I know you had them winning this week, but, I think, John, you and I both were like kind of more realistic. Like, I don't think they're going to go in and pull off a victory. They could have got a little closer with that touchdown, which I think was a touchdown. But they're 1-1, and now they got teams that I think they can beat. I think Houston at home. I think that that's a winnable game. I'm not saying go on to something guaranteed they're gonna win that victory, but it's a game they could win. And then they got the Giants and New York. Giants are obviously 2-0, but I think they're still not a powerful 2-0 for me. They're still might be a little bit lucky 2-0. So I think those are two winnable games. You come out of those, whether you're 3-1, 2-2, I think you're still in the midst of this here. And again, what you're trying to do here is, if you're Matt Eberflus, you're just trying to build that culture. You're not trying to build that positive energy here. And you're trying to kind of building blocks, step by step. And for me, if they get 7 or 8 victories this season, I think it's a good first year for Matt Eberflus, setting your goals, setting your foundation here. And in terms of going back to Tyler, your question, I just want to see Justin just get better and better and better. So pocket presence getting a little bit better. Got to be do better in terms of when you're rolling out. If you're going to hit some guy like St. Brown coming across, maybe lead him a little bit further along. So there's things he can pick and choose here in his game, but I'm definitely looking for some of those incremental steps here as he gets better and better. Toward the end of the season, I expect Justin to be a well established in terms of the passing game.
And if you look at this schedule coming up, because you mentioned it, Danny, is the fact that they got the Texans next week. They're not world beaters. You got the Giants after that, and then you do have to go and play the Vikings, which is going to be quite a challenge. But in the next 5 weeks, you have the Texans, the Giants, the Vikings, but then you have the Commanders, who don't look all that great. You also have the Patriots, who I watched that entire game with the Steelers today. They're nothing special. I mean, they're nothing that it's nothing that you're going to say like, oh, there's no way the Bears can't win that game. And then in week 8, you have the Cowboys, and we're not even sure if Dak Prescott's going to be back for that game. So you actually have some winnable games in the next, 4 or 5 weeks where you can really test against probably teams that are more in the Bears' talent range, so to speak, to see where they can find people that are going to actually contribute to this team, not just this year, but beyond. And one of those things I really wanted to get your opinion on, Danny, was do you think maybe there's also a lack of passing attempts, or at least this could be a contributing factor because they're worried about the pass protection? The run blocking is working fine. Did you see any issues with pass protection, or what was your overview of the line today or tonight?
Yeah, like you talked about, I think run blocking was pretty good. Even on that touchdown, that disputed non-touchdown for Fields. If you look, if he had, I don't know if you just didn't see it, to his right, there was a nice big gap there, kind of over that left guard. Or I'm sorry, right guard. He could have kind of probably easily kind of dove into the end zone. So I think the offense line run blocking is pretty good. Pass blocking, I think Larry Borom probably had his worst game as a Bear that I've seen him play in terms of pass protection. He was beaten a couple times by Rashawn Gary. So again, that's something that you have to kind of work on there as well. So I think overall, Braxton Jones, the rookie, I think he did a solid job at left tackle. I mean, Whitehair is solid as well. I think for me that the right side was a little worrisome today with Borom there at right tackle in terms of pass protection. But in terms of a run blocking, I think Tevin Jenkins did a solid job. I did notice that when they were going predominantly, and this could just been coincidence in terms of the rotation, all that stuff. But when the Bears did kind of fall into that whole we have to start passing mode, I noticed that Lucas Patrick was in that right guard instead of Tevin Jenkins. So I'm not sure again if that was just by choice, or if that was just kind of like the whole rotation thing working out. But definitely something's got to show up in the pass protection. But again, John, this is the offensive line, right? I don't see any all pros coming off the bench in 2 or 3 weeks to help kind of show up the offensive line. This is who we're gonna have to work with for the rest of the season, and the Bears knew that coming in. So that shouldn't deter them from just not throwing a football down a football field. So there was that one nice play where it looks like Mooney had being this guy to the inside, was down the field. Justin just kind of overthrew him. And I think if he had kind of led him more towards the inner portion, more towards the opposite hash mark, I think Mooney had an inside step. That could have been a nice big play, but Justin overthrew him down the field, and that was just an incompletion. So you got to take some shots down the field, kind of try and go ahead and kind of, make these defensive, backs kind of stand on toes back there. And another thing, it was Byron Pringle, other than that false start, I didn't see him do anything today in this football game. I didn't even see him actually in the first half. I don't know if you guys saw him even get any snaps in the first half. So I don't know if there was some sort of disciplinary thing. Was it a whole thing in terms of what their offensive game plan was? But that was a guy that was brought in here as a positive, was a guy that can kind of come in and contribute. So I did like the connection with St. Brown and feel that I think kind of see that chemistry growing there as well. So you need more guys to kind of develop. And I don't know about you guys, but I think a lot of our fans or a lot of listeners are expecting Cole Kmet to be like the next Travis Kelce. Guys, he's not Travis Kelce type, right? He's not going to be a big play kind of guy in the passing game. So I think he's more of a red zone guy. I see a lot of guys in the chat rooms talking about Cole Kmet being a bust. I don't know if he's a bust, but I'm just saying, like, he's a guy we got to kind of lower our expectations and know this guy's more of an inline Y tight end. Think, like I said, Kyle Rudolph more than Travis Kelce. So he's once a guy you get into the red zone, I think he's a guy who can become a nice option there with his size, with his catch radius. So I definitely want, these are the guys I'm looking forward to as the season progresses, and the Bears kind of with along with Fields kind of get better in terms of growing that passing game.
So let's switch sides of the ball, because the defense had its fair shares of ups and downs in this game, predominantly not being able to do anything to stop the rushing attack of Green Bay. Tyler, I know you're big on culture setting and what the game plan has to be in mindset. When you're getting sliced and diced like that, what can it do to one's mentality, and how does your overall view, I guess your overall opinion of this defense tonight?
I mean, honestly, and I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. I expected Roquan to play like a top 5 linebacker, and honestly, going back to why I picked the Bears to win the game, because I felt like we would be in position and we would make the play, and we were in position and didn't make the play. And that's what I saw, because even when they kicked out the counters to the left or to the right, Roquan is great in sideline to sideline speed, but I felt like he didn't make the play sometimes. And like even some of our guys that were coming in to make the play behind the line, like we just didn't. We honestly, what do they call it? Loafs. They're gonna get graded. There's gonna be a bunch of loafs on the play in this game, because we were in position, John. Like legit, and Rodgers was frustrated in the first half. He was like, damn, give me some time. But then we just couldn't be consistent. And so what I saw, I saw growth. Better than last year isn't great, but it's better.
Well, I guess they're gonna take that away. Yeah,
I know, right? Like, damn, it's better than last year. But it's just 3 sacks. Travis Gibson. You're happy for a guy who has the effort, and even when we're down by 2 scores, I'm like, all right, all we need is a stop and 2 touchdowns. You saw Tua today, 200 yards, 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter after being down by 25 points to Lamar Jackson. And so you just think, are we just missing that talent? But from a defensive perspective, it's just we got to be able to execute, because honestly, damn, this dude number 12, the guy is a surgeon. The guy is a legit surgeon with the football, and he knew Roquan is heavy a little bit. He overplayed it, and he took that slant to across the middle, and it was just easy for him to do. I'm like, damn, Roquan, you just should have stayed at home a little bit, bro, because when Roquan went to the sideline, he gave up underneath, and so I just didn't see us execute while we were in position, and I felt like that gave Rodgers confidence.
Danny, I'm going to swing that over to you, because there was a lot of chatter on Twitter about Roquan Smith's performance tonight. And actually, I saw multiple now,
I didn't want to bring it up.
Yeah, I saw multiple people saying move him back to the middle, which I'm not sure. I don't know what that's going to do at this point. I don't know if you're going to shake up your entire rotation like that. But what was your assessment of Roquan and I guess the linebacking core in general?
Yeah, I mean, Roquan and Morrow led the team in tackles with 11, but the thing was they're making those tackles down the field, 5, 6, 7 yards down the field. So for me, guys, it all starts up front, right? Defensive line, I think they're getting blown off the line of scrimmage in terms of the defensive tackles, both inside and then even the ends we're just kind of not chasing correctly. And I think once there was one great play where you saw Roquan kind of scraping along the line of scrimmage there and got Aaron Jones, but again, he got him out of bounds, but it was 2 yards. It was 2 yards to gain, and it was after 2 yards. So that's the thing. It was that they up front they weren't doing a good job of occupying those blockers and creating those lanes, those creases for Roquan and Morrow to go and shoot up those gaps and get upfield and make plays. Now there were times where Roquan I saw him got spun around. So I mean, again, when you're a linebacker, you want to kind of take on those blockers and kind of stack and shed and make a play. But Roquan's more of a sideline speed guy as opposed to a thumper in the middle. So I think again he's playing a new position. I'm not making excuses for the kid, but if you want to get paid top linebacker money, you're gonna have to come up and make plays every week in and week out. So I wasn't one of his best games, but it wasn't a horrible game, by far either, too. So for me. My guy, Keller Gordon, is I know he's a rookie.
He was getting a lot of criticism tonight.
Keller Gordon, I know he's a rookie, and one thing is coming out of Washington, I saw him as an outside corner. I didn't see him as an inside slot corner. Obviously, the Bears coaches think differently, and that's something that so far doesn't look good for me. Now, give him credit. The guy is tough. The guy will come down and stick his nose in there and try and make a play, but you got to make a tackle, right? And there was one play where he came down and didn't set a hard edge, left that edge open for the running back to go ahead and bounce around outside and gain another first. I believe it was Aaron Jones again. So, if you're going to come down, you're going to play around the line of scrimmage. You are a physical kid. You're going to have to kind of play. Again, he's a rookie, so I'll give him some leeway here. But he's a guy that so far has not looked good for me inside as a slot cornerback. And I think coming in, my scouting report on him was he was an outside corner, not an inside slot corner.
All right. Go ahead. No, you finish up.
Danny, I agree with you, bro. I wanted him to be on the outside. But I think the fear was if it wasn't Gordon at the nickel, at the slot, that first touchdown pass would have been a touchdown pass. In his zone that he deflected, I wanted Gordon on the outside just to have Johnson, just to have that shirt up. But I feel we as a Bears team, we've been so bad at the slot nickel position for so long. I mean, Buster Screen just didn't work out the way I wanted him to work out, in my personal opinion. And Rodgers tried to take advantage of him. But you're right, bro. He wasn't tackling. And I'm hoping that these guys get upset. We saw Brisker get taken advantage of too. I'm hoping Roquan, Gordon, these guys get upset, John, and they literally lay it on our guy Lovie Smith. I hope they lay it on him next week. But real quick, I just want to ask a quick question, John. Whoever wants to answer, because we're talking about the schedule coming up. Carson Wentz threw 42 times today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They were down 21-0, but Carson Wentz ended up with 300 yards. You know what I mean? And then they get Gibson, their running backs, that had over 14 attempts rushing and still scored a touchdown. And so, do we have the talent? I know next year is going to be great. But do we have the talent? And are these coaches going to put us in a good position that it doesn't affect our psyche?
I think so, and just I saw Carson Wentz do some Carson Wentz things today as well. They were not overly impressive, so I'm not too worried about that. But to your overall question, I think that the culture is still being set. Now that's a lot easier to do in the early part of the season, and you want to make sure that the season doesn't get completely away from you, because it'd be hard to build a culture and keep being rah. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's the standard we have. Oh, by the way, we're 3-13. So you want to make sure that I think that a lot of people, I don't necessarily like I don't care about the record as long as I see growth. I think wins show growth, and I think also winning helps growth. So I need to see a balance of both of those. I don't necessarily buy into they could go 1-16 and then just, they build an awesome culture. I think that I'm not expecting them to, make the playoffs or even be like a big formidable team, but if they're able to stick around that 500, you can see that is the base for what they're building on next year. It's much easier to say, hey, this worked. We were a scrappy team. We beat San Francisco. Maybe they go and they rattle off a few wins here and they say we're buying into this mentality. Instead of, but if they just start losing and losing, you're going to stop, all that hits stuff isn't going to carry the same amount of water it did 4 or 5 weeks ago. So I think that they can continue to build that culture, but you need to have some success along the way.
And in terms of talent, your question, in terms of talent, overall talent, it's not there yet, but I think you can continue, like John said, build that culture, build that winning program, and so that incoming talent will know how to act. And then Don Burr, real quick, we're not turning on picks after 2 games. We're just saying that I scouted Kyler Gordon come out of Washington as an outside corner. I didn't see him playing nickel corner in the NFL. And so that's what we're not turning on him. I said he's a rookie. He's a guy's going to get better, but I see him more as an outside corner than inside.
And it looks like Matt Eberflus is at the podium. Before we go to his press conference, I do want to bring in, it's a late night show, so we need all the help we can get. We're going to bring in a contributor to the bar room, Jordan Silvera. Come on in and listen to the press conference with us, and then you can join into the conversation as after Eberflus is done and wraps up here.
I'd have to look at the tape.
And it was such a fast start for you guys.
Yeah.
I know you wanted to start fast, but after that first drive, what's your assessment of what happened?
Yeah, like I said, I think it was some penalties. I know we went 3 and out. I think it was 3 and outs there where some penalties and some TFLs that got us behind the sticks. It's first down efficiency. When you don't have first down efficiency, it makes it harder. And we have to do a better job with that. Yeah, I mean, I always think that on offense you have to have balance. So we're gonna have to look at that, and we'll look at that, as we assess the game and evaluate the game. But man, the way we were running it, we were running it really well, and we were still in the game at that point. So we were going with what was working for us. Well, yeah, to me, my eyes are always drawn to the defense and a little bit. Because my background, and I would say the tackling, we have to do a better job. But individually, look at the individual and the technique and break down those ones he did tackle well and they didn't, do well. Leverage, angles, tackling, we call it cupping the ball. We have to do a better job with that. And that limits the big plays. And we have to do that tomorrow and tonight and take a look at that. Because you look at Eddie Jackson, he tackled very well. He was. I don't think he missed one. But if you look at some of the younger guys, that they maybe did miss a couple, and maybe it was more angles and technique and fundamentals. So we got to do a better job. Yeah, this is the NFL, right? Everybody's got good players, right? Everybody has good players, and we're going to face that every week. And the young guys are in there for a reason, right? The experience they're getting right now is invaluable to our football team. So they're going to continue to play, and they're going to continue to get better, and they're going to continue to perform well. So tonight wasn't the best night for some of those guys, but again, coach and player, we got to do a better job. Yeah. Yeah, I just think that, when you get them to third down, you got to get off, number one. And you got to, like I said, we were behind the sticks those 3 times, and they end up cashing in on there. So that was how it worked. The rest of the 3 quarters were decent, but you can't play like that in the NFL. Every play matters. Yeah. Yeah, so that right there that's cupping the ball right there. So that's coming out of the stack, and the guys in the second level have to get over top of those blocks, to turn it back to the defensive linemen that are running inside out. And I think it was one of our linebackers got cut off at that point, and ended up creating a hole for us. So we got to do a better job with that play. So that's a common play that people run in that get back on track situation.
When Rodgers gets the ball out going 1.5 seconds on that play, what can you do differently in the line of scrimmage? That's something that you want to see from your pass rush on that screen.
Yeah, that's just getting out of the stack. Like I said, you got to force the ball on the outside. So you got to hammer, and then you got to turn it back to the D linemen that are coming inside out. And the play gets hopefully 6 yards or 7 yards, at worst. But when you don't get a guy over the top, sometimes they cut the ball back inside or take the ball outside. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I'll go back and look at the play, but it was a big play for them, and then they end up converting on the third down. That was a big sequence for us. Mm-hmm. Right. No, I think whenever you have adversity, I think you look at all aspects, touches for players and how we're distributing the ball. And I think that's something we have to look at across the board. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go back and look at it. We got to look back with the offensive staff, and and you throw the ball 11 times, but again, we ran the ball really well. So we'll look at it, and we have really good coaches, and they're doing a great job, and we'll continue to get better.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
That's head coach Matt Eberflus after the game. Fellas, I'm going to sign off here. I got to get up super early, and I'm on the East Coast, and it's about midnight here. But before I do so, welcome onto the show, Jordan. I'm going to start with you. Just give us your initial reactions of Matt Eberflus's reaction to this game and what you'd like to see moving forward. And once again, appreciate you being on.
Of course, John. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful night. Danny, Tyler, excited to talk about the game with you. Not much to say other than what do you expect? Look, we all want wins. I'm not here to say look, I was right. Had the Packers winning in a prediction this morning, just a situation where I tend to believe that, look, when you consider who the Packers are as a contender, the money that they're spending, you consider how this team was built. This is just one of those games you're going to have to rinse down the toilet a little bit and try to move on. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, we could talk for hours about all the different things that went on, but simply put, I can't tell you that I'm surprised when you build the team this way with this allocation of assets in certain areas. I excuse me for a little bit, just allow me to curse one time here because this is how I feel about it. The entire time I was sitting in my living room watching the game, I said, you know what? You want to fuck around, then you can find out. And that's exactly what they did. When you have a team like the Packers, it doesn't matter who, really any NFL team, as Coach Eberflus said, when they get paid too. If you have an opportunity to put your foot on the throat of an opponent, you step on it.
Right.
The opportunities and the inches are everywhere. Fumbled snaps, opportunities to fit the run. You're going forward on 4th and 1. You're having different issues. Unacceptable. That's the reality of it. So I can't say I'm too surprised.
Hey, Jordan, I just want to say, first of all, bro, you do a great job on the Bar Flight Tailgate Show. This is where you, bro, like, you're right, bro. You're right. And then what I want to say to that point, and then Danny, I want to get your thoughts on it. Are we just lacking those assets? Because when Jordan, you literally just broke it down from a mathematical standpoint, bro. Like you can't be mad at this is what you're gonna put onto the field. But to that point, is there growth? Like we haven't, now we get to see what our coaches look like after a loss. After a loss, we always want to learn after we win. But like this coaching staff after a loss, I'm confident in versus our previous regime. But at the end of the day, are we just gonna? Can we expect a mediocre? I don't want to say mediocre game plan, Danny, because I felt like the monsoon game. It sucks that I got to rely on the rain for a good game plan for us to win. But like Danny, can we expect like a good game plan going forward? Like, yeah, we should beat the Texans, but I don't want to win 6-9, bro. Like, is there going to be a successful game plan that's just as going to throw over 20 passes?
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, that's the thing is like, I'm sure the Texans are saying, oh yeah, we can beat the Bears too. So, that's the thing is like any game Sunday, any team can win. And I would take a 6-9 victory just as long as you get a victory. Cause I mean, it's hard to win in the NFL, but I know what you mean, Tyler. You want to see progress. And that's something we were talking about earlier is like, we want to see this offense kind of grow with Justin Fields and all that stuff. So I think, and Jordan, to your point in terms of, this is what you came to the meal with, right? This is what you brought in terms of your ingredients. So, don't expect it, if it doesn't taste great because you went and shopped at, for example, Aldi instead of going to shopping at and one of them, the bigger major, stores and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm just bad analogy right there or whatever. But
you're right.
But it's like, all right. I think earlier I said, a lot of people expected this team to be 0-2 after these first 2 games. The fact that they're 1-1 is a positive, right? And I think the fact that Matt Eberflus's team does show discipline, does play well. Now today was one of the first games that I saw in which they showed a lack of discipline a little bit. They had 7 penalties for 50 yards in terms of that's something that we had not seen with this coaching staff. So that's something that's going to be cleaned up. We touched on earlier, Jordan, only 11 pass attempts for Justin Fields. I know Montgomery was great in that first drive, and then you went away from him, right? And then yeah, eventually when you went back to him, lo and behold, you drove right back down the football field again. So, why go away from Montgomery? And then also why only limit Justin Fields to only 11 pass attempts? But again, like I said earlier, I don't want 40 pass attempts. I'm just saying, like, you got to give this kid some chance. Is it because, like John was touching on earlier, is it because you don't trust the pass protection? Is it because you don't trust the receivers? If that's the case, how do you expect this offense to grow? So that's the questions we had. 1-1 is a positive. You have a couple of opponents coming up here that you can beat, right? I'm not saying you're going to beat them, but you can beat them. So you should be in that game. And if you play good special teams, you play good defense, you play disciplined football, and limit those penalties, and you capitalize on your opportunities on offense, I think you could come out of this next 2 games either 3-1 or 2-2. So again, for me, it's all about Justin Fields tonight. Jordan, I don't know how you felt, but I think like his pocket presence was a little bit better. I know that ball over the line of scrimmage was something that's going to be kind of harped on him a little bit, but he's a guy that I think kind of did well today. He had 3 sacks, and I think Larry Borum on the offensive line played maybe one of his worst games in terms of pass blocking today. So there are a lot of things to clean up here, right? In terms of positives.
Yeah.
Really, guys, the only positive I saw today was that front four got pressure on Aaron Rodgers initially, right, in the pass rush. And anything else, I mean, really, it's you're gonna have to kind of like look back and read. Even on kickoff returns, I mean, Tristan Ebner, I know he had a couple nice returns, but there was one he kind of just stopped and just turned around, and it was shot down for like a 15-yard return. So it was like there were just weird things going on. Again, their first road game this year, young team, I think 8th youngest roster in the NFL. Could that be part of it as well? So a lot of things, to throw out, not down on the team, not down on the coaching staff. I just want to see progress. I think just today there wasn't much progress made in terms of when you watch the overall game.
So Jordan, I want to get your thoughts real quick, bro, because
of course
everything that you just said in terms of like this is what you put onto the field. What did you think about the defense? Because obviously they scored more than what we did. We couldn't stop them with whatever so many points. In my personal opinion, I felt like we missed a lot of tackles. And so the defense, I felt like obviously we addressed it with the 2 good picks. I feel like Robert Quinn showed that he's still great. I mean, like that sack was amazing. And we see Trevor Gripson stepping up with the Khalil Mack departure. But what was your thoughts on the overall defense, and where did you see it falling apart?
Yeah, I mean, Tyler, to me, I promise Danny, I hope you understand, Tyler, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here. It's just, this is a situation where I'm forced to have to question, what is the way that you're building this roster? And look, I mean, I was a guy that was like, hey, you want to invest in a corner and a safety. I know Danny and we joke, like, I value safeties, you don't, but I'm good with it if that's how you want to do it. But then what are you doing to support your young quarterback? This has been something that I've had a concern about. He's got 4 cheap years. If you want to call it 5 with the 5th-year option, that's fine. You are essentially taking a lighter and burning 40% of that contract because the rookie year was a wash. This year, we're saying they're not going anywhere. You are burning 40% of your young quarterback who's supposed to take you places of his contract. And you're sitting there stuffing the cupboards with minimum salary contracts to Byron Pringle and Equinemius St. Brown because you want to go hire a defensive coach and invest in the defense. All that's hunky-dory and fine, except the reality is if that offense isn't moving the ball, you can stack the defense with as much talent as you want. When they have to continue to trot their ass out there because your offense can't pick up first down, so it's constant 3 and outs, that dam is going to break. And then you want to sit there, and this goes back to the whole F around and find out. Let's go ahead and Aaron Rodgers and see how he does against this tired defense. Like, it's just run your head into a brick wall, go for it. But it's maddening. I can't. These are the issues that you're going to find when you want to go hire a defensive coach, when you want to go invest and spend money on defense, and then you want to ask Justin Fields to save you on 3rd and long, and he's working with Larry Borum, and you've got Braxton Jones, a 5th-round rookie, and I'm not here to bag on those guys, but guess what? People are drafted and put in a position that they are for a reason. There's a reason Rashawn Gary's a 1st-round pick. There's a reason why Preston Smith's a 2nd-round pick. There's a reason why Kenny Clark was a 1st-round guy. You're going to get your ass and your teeth kicked in if you want to sit there and trot that out. I'm sorry I'm passionate. Just this is the shit that frustrates me.
Good stuff, bro. That's no apology necessary. We love it. Hey, Danny, to Jordan's point, bro. To Jordan's point, I hate to say it, but based off what he just said and based on what we just saw tonight, is it looking like more of a rebuild? I mean, because if you think, I mean, because nobody wants to admit that it's a reboot or restart. But I will say this: last year in Miami, Tua was a bust. Respectfully, that's what they were saying in Miami. He was a bust. I think one time he was hurt or either benched for Fitzmagic. But what did the Dolphins do? They went out and got Tariq. And so was this just the year that Poles just got rid of the high contracts?
Yeah.
And let's just get a thing in place. Next year we got a lot of cap money, Danny. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, and I've been saying this from once Poles took over and started doing all the maneuvers he was doing. That became clear to me, evident to me that he was going to clear all this cap, set this first season up with Eberflus and his staff to kind of set that culture, and then next year is going to go in and bring it. And then you touched on Miami, but yeah, Miami had the cap though to go and get these players. They had the draft capital to go out and trade and make these pickups. So that's what Poles is doing. They touched on it briefly today on the broadcast, and in terms of, he's building it the right way. You had to get rid of some of that, some of that cap weight to kind of get yourself underneath the cap for next year. Because I think the Bears are carrying like $63 million worth of dead cap for players actually that are not even on the roster this year. So I think they're going to clear that out, and the next year you're going to start bringing in some of these players. My only thing was, all right, Justin, like Jordan touched on it, Justin Fields in his second season, for me, I'm treating it like a rookie year because of what was going on last season. I just want to see that progress. If I see Justin Fields getting better and better, today I touched on some of his pocket presence was a little bit better for me. I did still see some hesitation in terms of getting rid of that football, just kind of stepping back, planting your back foot and letting it rip. But if I'm seeing Justin Fields getting better and better, and I know, just based off of early, just kind of what we've seen so far in terms of the evidence, I think this is going to be a solid, sound defense. I think they're going to be a team that's smart, that's not penalized a lot. I think they're going to have a solid special teams, like I said, solid defense. And if I see Justin Fields getting better and better, yeah, he doesn't have the great receivers to work with, but if you see that proof there in the pudding where this kid has a future, and I believe he does, I think, Tyler, you're also in the camp where I believe Justin Fields is the Bears' future quarterback, and I just hope that that we see that growth here. Fans, don't give up on him after a couple of games. Let's see what happens. But like I said, he gets better. This defense kind of builds that foundation. This whole team builds that foundation. You get 7 or 8 victories in the season. To me, that's a successful season. I think then you go and you build from there. So yeah, to me, it is a rebuild. They might not admit it, but like Jordan touched on, when you did what you did earlier in the offseason, when you got rid of all those players and all that salary cap, you kind of told us what you're planning on doing. So a boatload of cash in terms of cap money, and also your full allotment of draft picks. I think this offseason coming up is going to be a huge one for the Bears.
And so Danny, hell yeah, bro. Like you're right, man. And I'm kind of getting excited about it because then as you were talking, I started thinking about next year's draft. Like literally, like, okay, what do we need? Because Jordan just said, this is what you're gonna put out there. This is what we got. Because now I'm thinking about, is Vildor the man for that position? The flags, the out of position that I saw tonight, is Kyler Gordon going to be better there? But then who's going to be in the nickel? Who's going to tackle from the nickel position? Jordan, I want to hear your thoughts on Kyler Gordon being at the nickel. But then I know it's too early to talk about draft. It might be a little bit too early to talk about the draft. But at the same time, I'm interested on who we're going to bring. What are those first 2 positions that we're going to tackle, that we're going to bring in next year? Because if there is I believe that we can do good. I believe we can get 8 or 9 wins this year. That is my true belief. Tough-nosed football. I solely believe in Justin Fields because he has the talent. He definitely has the talent. He can run with the best of them. But I guess so. Jordan, real quick, Kyler Gordon, should he stay in the slot?
I don't think you have a better option. I mean, this is the problem. Like, you had to ship off Thomas Graham, and Tavon Young's now been cut from IR. I mean, who are you going to really roll out there? Josh Blackwell? This is the problem. And I'm with Danny, by the way. I didn't see this guy as somebody that I wanted to put at nickel. Danny, I don't even know how you felt about Roger McCreary. He wasn't available when they took Kyler, but that would have been my number 1 nickel at the point. But for all those fans that are, I mean, I know Don was here talking about we're ready to trash day 2 picks and all that. I want to be very clear in case typical fans that may not know this. Kyler Gordon, bar none, is playing the absolute most difficult position on defense. I will have that argument till the cows come home with anybody. As a nickel corner, you are asked to cover the entire route tree from the inside. There is no boundary. There is no sideline to help and assist you. You are inside, condensed, and you are asked to fit the run when they are running Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon right down your throat. He has to do it all as a rookie. And fine, you want to say that the Bears trust him to do that, then live with it, but don't get mad when your rookie has to learn the school of hard knocks on how to play the hardest position on defense. Like, this is, again, what you reap what you sow. If this is what you're going to put out there, don't be surprised with those results.
I think you're right, Jordan, because the nickel position, in my opinion, is probably the shortstop of the NFL.
Yes.
And then Kyler Gordon may be the best option because he was a dancer, he was a baseball player. He probably is the most athletic on the team. He just has to go through those humps. But like I was just not impressed with the tackling today. It was the missed tackles. If you're going to come down to the front, I think Danny talked about it earlier. If you're going to come down and be in position, you got to make the tackle, bro. Like you're on the field, everybody should be tackling. Danny, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, and in terms of, like Gordon, again, he's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. Today wasn't one of his best showings. Again, to me, I don't want to keep harping on this, but to me, he's more of an outside corner. But, if you're going to play him there, hey, let's him. But the one thing he is aggressive. He's a guy that does not mind coming down and sticking his nose in there. So you got to give him credit there. Another kid, all these guys, these young guys, I just want to see them get better, right? The one thing I will touch on a positive on defense, I do like what they're doing with on third down, where they're bringing in what they call their NASCAR package, right? Where they're kicking in either where it's Grit Gibson or Dominique Robinson, the rookie, and they're bringing 4 good defensive pass rushers on the football field on third down. So I do like that concept there, what they're going there with, and then obviously dropping back 5 guys in coverage and trying to play some zone back there. So there are things on defense that are positive. Again, unfortunately today was just a bad game in terms of the defensive front. Was getting blown off the line of scrimmage by the Packers offensive line, and they're getting gashed by the rushing attack by Green Bay. In terms of next year, again, this is way early. We're in terms of the draft, but you talked on it earlier, Tyler, in terms of what I think the Bears' needs are. Number one, first and foremost for me, is an interior defensive tackle. I think that 3 technique is a position that has not been filled. Justin Jones had a yeoman's effort today. I know he's been playing well. But he's not the typical traditional 3 technique. And I think what you need in this defense is a 3 technique, a true traditional game wrecker up front there. So I think defensive tackle is an area I'm scouting heavily for next season's draft. I think the receiver position is going to be another position that you're going to have to attack, whether it's free agency, veteran free agency, or during the draft. So those are another couple of areas you have to look at there as well. And we got to see how this offensive line gels and plays well together. Is Lucas Patrick the long-term, answer at center, right? Is he going to be your right guard? Is Tevin Jenkins a guard? Is Larry Borom your answer at right tackle? I think so far so good in terms of knock on wood in terms of Braxton Jones. He's a guy at left tackle. If you found your left tackle in the 5th round, that's one hell of a hit there. So, that's the one thing is if you got at least you half of your offensive line set up where you have, Jones and Whitehair and let's say Lucas Patrick at center. Now you can kind of mix match with the right side and see is Borom going to be your right tackle? Is he going to be your right guard? Are you going to have to go out and get a right tackle in the draft or outside the organization? So the up front, offensive line, defensive line, once those 2 units are solidified, then I can work out and just kind of work from the peripheral there as well. So again, my whole thing this year is just see growth and development in these players. Again, win totals is not going to be a big thing for me. Obviously, I don't want to see them just winning 1 or 2 games. I want to see them being competitive and win their fair share of games. But I'm not looking for playoffs or anything like that this year. I want to see them build that culture. Build these young players' confidence and have some building blocks. Going into next offseason as well. So that's what I'm going to be looking for this year.
Hey, Jordan, before we wrap things up, any final thoughts about this particular game?
Yeah, I mean, this particular game, I could spew from a few different angles. I get it. You want to get Lucas Patrick some reps. I think that we want to talk about this offensive line and how you're trying to put it together. I don't think that they're necessarily going to gel after 2 weeks, but I don't think you're doing any favors to anybody by sitting there and going, hey, Sam Mustipher, right guard. Go ahead and learn how you're going to have to do ace blocks where you're basically trying to work up to the second level with Tevin. And then, by the drop of a dime, go ahead and now figure it out with Lucas Patrick. And my whole thing is if you have no intention of Lucas Patrick being a guard and he's going to be your center, what are you doing putting him there? That serves you no good. Now, if you think he's a guard, you want to solidify Sam Mustipher as the guy, I guess. I just don't know what you're doing there. You want to talk about Roquan Smith. Don't think he fit the run very well. I don't think he's ever particularly shown a willingness to fit the run, doesn't stack and shed on blockers well, and that's what you get when you want to draft an off-ball linebacker that's 6 foot 230. You want to talk about he runs sideline to sideline. I'm watching Aaron Jones find a way to get outside on his ass. It's like, let's go hire a defensive coach that will discipline, right? Let's discipline. Nobody's wrapping up. I'm probably shit on the Bears, but look, You get beat like that. I mean, I put it on Twitter. I stand by this. I watched that game, and I saw one team that wanted it more. I know that's usually which one wants it more. No, it was very clear. There was one team that came in and said, I want it more, and I'm going to push your ass down the field, and if you don't like it, do something about it. Right. And the Bears laid their ass down and said, okay, go ahead. Because they started out playing middle of the field close, bringing safeties down, and they kept doing that. And the Packers still pushed them off the ball and run. You want to put Justin Fields on 4th and 1 and run the ball? I like it. I actually like QB power. I'm good with it. I don't even mind it from shotgun. But you want to sit there and tell me that you're just going to sit there and have your offensive line try to push? Where's Blasingame? You don't want to motion a jet sweep across to try to get the defense shifting across? You don't want to have a Y insert where Cole Kmet's in motion and then he's leading up with or Blasingame? You want to sit there and ask Justin to do it all, and this is the entire thing, and I'll end with this. To Danny's point, I'm not as high on the pocket movement. Took a sack where Braxton Jones let up a sack per what PFF would call it. He sat in the pocket too long. Time to throw needs to come down. That's the whole issue. I get you want to make big plays, but you can't sit there and try to step up and not think that somebody on the back end, it's the one where he fumbled. So my whole issue is, I get it. You want to put training wheels on Justin Fields. You want to run the ball. Guess what? Every defensive coordinator knows you want to run the ball. So when you get stuffed and it's 2nd and long, stop running draw, stop running zone, roll Justin Fields out. Do him a favor, because what you're doing right now is you're getting in these 3rd and long situations and saying, Justin, please save us with a offensive line where the defensive line that they're going against pins their ears back. They know they can get after him. And oh, by the way, your only real established receiver is Darnell Mooney, and he doesn't have Allen Robinson to be a decoy this year to work off of it. He is the number 1 guy. There are short circuits in various parts of this roster. And this is not like burn it down. I think that they can compete with lesser teams. But don't be surprised when they go up against better teams, whether it be the Eagles, whether it be the Bills, of course, players and teams of that sort where they get washed. It's going to happen if this continues.
Yeah, teams with better talents. It's talent overall is going to end up showing up on Sundays, and a team with better talent typically wins games. But going back to Tevin Jenkins real quick, I think that experiment. I think they're still not sold on Tevin Jenkins. I think the acquisition of Alex Leatherwood is a key element of that as well. I think once he's healthy and once Patrick is back healthy, I think you'll see Lucas Patrick at center, and then I see the rotation being between Leatherwood and Tevin Jenkins at right guard. I think that's who they're going to be seeing. Maybe I think they envision maybe Leatherwood more of a right guard for them than a Tevin Jenkins. So don't be surprised if Tevin Jenkins doesn't end the season on the Bears roster, maybe via trade or whatnot. But that's that offensive line situation. And in terms of the in terms of what Jordan was saying with Justin Fields, in terms of getting that passing game going, Luke Getsy is a first-time offensive coordinator, guys. I think he's a guy we got to forget. He's kind of learning on a job as well. So let's see how he develops as a play caller. Let's see how he gets comfortable there, and in terms of making those adjustments, making those those play calls and getting the offense in a better situation. It just seemed like this in today's game. When there was like 2nd and 15 or 3rd and 18, like you knew that it was pretty much that series was over with. Let's just get the ball off to a screen or hand off, and let's get off the football field. So that's the one thing with this offense is going to have to start. I think the defense is going to get better and better as these younger guys kind of gel and play as better as a unit. But I think offensively, they're going to have to kind of keep pace here with the defense to be able to complement them, because today there were just way too many times, as a defensive front, you're getting gashed by the offensive line by the Packers, and now your offense takes over 3 and now bam, you're back on the football field. So I think if they had kind of held the ball a little bit longer, had a couple of series where they kind of got a couple first downs, gave the defense some time to kind of catch their breath, maybe would have seen a better effort in terms of the run defense. But again, once it started rolling downhill, the offense couldn't do anything up until that midway through that 3rd quarter. I think that's and notice once they got that long drive and they scored, defense came back on the field and it got the Packers off the football field again. So I think that's kind of, you have to complement each other, right? So I think that's where we're going to see the growth. And what feels, again, it's still a work in progress. For me, I just want to see him kind of continue to get better and better and better. In terms of his weapons, they are what they are right now, right? So we can't expect that to change overnight. But are you now being able to lead this team down, to be more competitive in terms of being able to get first downs, being in football games, putting points on the board is what I want to see. And it's similar to what Josh Allen happened. What happened to Josh Allen at Buffalo? His first couple of seasons at the helm, it wasn't pretty. There were questions about Josh Allen in terms of his ability to work from the pocket. His ability to attack downfield, even though he had a big arm. His accuracy issues were something that Buffalo was talking about a lot. But what happened was they continued to kind of add, weapons to that offense, build the offensive line around him, build a system that kind of complements it and brings out the best of him. And that's the one thing I talked about last year was I kept harping on that coaching staff was put your players in the best position to succeed. Not everyone is a pocket passer. Not everyone is an athletic quarterback, but every player has a skill set, and just put that player in a position to succeed until they grow. So Justin Fields right now is an athletic quarterback, and now you're building him to be a pocket passer. So, they touched on it quickly today with his footwork. I think that's a big difference there. You saw the similarities in terms of how they have him set up now in the pocket and shotgun, similar to how they have Aaron Rodgers set up. And I think that's something that Luke Getsy brought with him from Green Bay. So let's see that develop. Let's see him get comfortable in that kind of situation. Mm-hmm. And again, that's what I'm looking for. I want to see by midseason, by the end of the year, is Justin Fields more efficient in the pocket? Is he running this offense, efficiently? And now is the offense complementing this defense? And are they getting better? Whether it's 6, 7, 8 victories, as long as I see that progress, I'm good, because I know what this season is. I'm looking forward towards the next year and beyond.
Hey, Danny, you just said some great stuff, bro. And you gave me perspective and a lot of Bears fan perspective, because you're right about Josh Allen, bro. Truly right about Josh Allen. We can say that about a lot of people, even Herbert. I mean, to a little bit, he kind of exploded to the scene. But what I'm saying is, Danny, first thing you said earlier in the show, this being Justin Fields' rookie season, that was my thought process during the summer. I wholly agree with that thought process, because new coach, new right coach, and just like and more not just Matt, but more Luke, of like Luke knows championship football. Like, he knows what championship football looks like. Luke has talked about having grace with a young quarterback, still getting familiar with the NFL. And so that being said, us not having the young talent around him with this game, I'm not pissed. I'm trying to be calm. I'm calm right now. But, like, I'm very upset that we didn't tackle, Danny. I am really mad. I really thought we were going to tackle better. And that's what I'm more disturbed about. Like, Roquan was in position, and he didn't tackle. We saw Gordon in position, he didn't tackle. And I'm like, guys, come on, that's not hit principle. I hate the hashtag stuff, and we don't follow through on the stuff. Like, come on, this is like national TV. This was the night I thought we were going to change the perception of America. I'm so sick of all the banter about the Bears, but then you can't be mad about it when this is every time we show up on national TV, this is how we show up. I'm like, damn, this is why these people run their simulators, and they got us at the bottom third of the league.
Yeah, but we were an inch from being 17-24 within a one score of the Packers, right?
Exactly.
That's the thing, is like, and they should have been, in my opinion. That was touchdown, in my opinion.
Exactly, Danny.
Like, so I know all the negative that we saw in the first half, but we saw some positive. We saw the team bounce back, and that's what encourages me. So that's why, going forward, in terms of the missed tackles, I think this is a coaching staff that's going to harp on that. I expect Gordon to get better in terms of tackling. I expect him to come down and set a hard edge when he's in run support. Roquan, in terms of he's never been a take on linebacker. He's been more of a sideline, kind of flow into the gap and get upfield. That's why I think that the weak side linebacker in this spot in this defense is going to be something that he should flourish in. But there's also a reason why the Bears didn't give him the contract he was expecting. Maybe the Bears don't see him as that type of linebacker as well. So we'll see how that plays out throughout the course of the season as well here as well. So there's a lot of question marks and a lot of things to look forward to in terms of how this roster gets built eventually, when we're all expecting them to compete for divisions and compete for playoff spots. So that's the thing that kind of, as a scout in the heart, I like seeing players develop and get better. So, I see talent here and there. I see, I think Gordon's a talented kid. I know Roquan Smith is a talented linebacker. And I think this coaching staff knows what to do with these players. So let's see how they fit. And that's something I'm looking forward to week in and week out. Like next week for the Texans, I think they could win. Will they win? I have no idea. But I want to see Justin get better. I want to see the offense get better, maybe attack more downfield. I want to see them continue to build on that rushing attack with David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert. I want to see that progress there. And I want to see the defense continue to put pressure with their front four on the opposing quarterback. And let's see how these young cornerbacks can cover. And let's see, Kildo Vildor. He's another kid. I know he got flagged today as well, but there are times where he's made some plays down there as well. And I think he could play the nickel position, but obviously the team feels differently. But these are young players that I want to see develop, and I want to see them make some plays here.
Jordan, you said your last thoughts about this game. Danny, just thank you for saying that, because looking towards next week, because I feel like we're going to learn a lot from this game. And the reason why I'm not mad, because Danny just made the point. I trust this coaching staff. I trust this coaching staff to coach guys up. And that's what we needed. That's what personally we didn't have over the last 4 years. Coach these guys up properly from a fundamental standpoint, and we're laying that foundation. So I feel like we're going to get it corrected. I don't think the Bears are out of playoff contention yet. We're not out, Danny, until the math says we're out. Right. And I love a dark horse, and so we can be that team. But that being said, Jordan, next week against the Texans, what are your thoughts about the matchups? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, it's kind of the one final point I forgot to talk about, but it doesn't matter regarding Packers or not. It goes to any other team. Is something I don't think we're talking about enough. We talk about the pass attempts, but the reality is whether you don't trust the offensive line, you don't trust the receivers, you don't trust Justin Fields to make the right decision. Whatever you decide the reason is, the one thing that we can't argue is I don't think it's doing any fairness, any justice to Justin Fields to sit there and say, please deliver when we ask you to in limited spots, if we don't do anything to build a rhythm for you in the passing game. I didn't see a wide receiver screen. I didn't see any of the cool little unique tight end screens to get Cole Kmet into a routine. I'm not seeing regular high-low patterns that are being hit. If you want to say it's Justin Fields, fine. But do me a favor and try to get the guy more than 8 pass attempts in 3 quarters. I don't think it's fair to your quarterback to ask him to deliver without getting into a rhythm and building his confidence. And that goes to the Texans game where, look, it's going to be an emotional game. Lovey's coming back to town, all this other stuff. He's going against another second-year quarterback that's looked relatively promising. Damon Pierce, the Florida running back, looks to be relatively good. Kenyon Green got his first start today. Of course, you've got Brandon Cooks there and a few Nico Collins, big X receiver. You want to talk about a guy that'll challenge at the catch point, something that Justin Fields is missing. That's what we're looking at on that offense. As far as that defense, it's a zone-heavy scheme. It should be something relatively similar to what he's seeing in practice. This is the Lovie Smith defense. Matt Eberflus is an acolyte of that system via Rod Marinelli. Big concern there is Derek Stingley. Anybody that's been watching him has been the absolute real deal. Let me put it this way. Look, I know we all love Darnell Mooney. Book it. Derek Stingley is deleting him from the game. I've seen him do it with every receiver he's faced this far. And then you have Jalen Petrie playing the star position that is playing the nickel role. It was taking a couple picks before Brisker, I believe it was. And he's been a really solid player in fitting the run, as well as just understanding how to play zones and run that defense, because he comes from Baylor with Dave Aranda, who's one of the best at college football at the moment. So they've got a competitive team. They've fought throughout games, lost today, of course, against Denver, but shouldn't be taken lightly, nor should I know you're not asking about this, but nor should the Giants. They're a real team too. I mean, look, we want to talk about go hire the defensive coach. I can't help but look at a GM and head coach pairing with Brian Dable and Joe Shane as a head coach and GM, that with Danny Jones and Saquon Barkley and a makeshift offensive line and Sterling Shepard are finding a way to pull out wins. I understand everybody thought those were for sure wins. I would just say take a real hard look and understand that they get paid too, and it may be a little bit of tough sledding.
I think you made another great point, bro. Like, you should be getting an NFL job. Like, that was some good comparison breakdown, because at the end of the day, the game's got to be played, and everybody's coming there to win. And so, like, going forward, what you just literally just said about even going towards the next week, how are we going to attack the Texans? Because the cool thing is they're trying to figure out their offense too, in my opinion. Well, from what I saw, they're trying to figure out that offense too. But I do like Lovie. I love Lovie Smith. I got all respect for that man. Probably should have never been fired from the Bears after going 10-6 in the playoffs. And so they're trying to establish something down in Texas. Can we beat them? I definitely think we can. But Danny, I don't think we can do it if we're going to give Justin 10 pass attempts. And so, like, I mean, like, why should it be that hard? But to your point, Jordan, like, Justin, save us without the repetitions. This is truly not ideal. And then Justin looks bad for it. And so, but with Debo, all these guys, Danny, real quick, just like in terms of next week, bro, you see us winning that game, but how are we? Is it going to be an ugly, low-scoring game? We pull it off with a Carlos, with a Cairo, with a Cairo kick, or is it Justin Fields showing that hey, he could throw 3-4 touchdown passes?
Yeah, Tyler just went John Fox on us with Carlos Santos, but it's Cairo Santos. But
I know.
No, it's again. I mean, they played Denver today. The Texans did, and they played them tough. I mean, I know they lost the close game, but again, like Jordan's point, this is the Lovie Smith defense that the Bears are playing. Basically, I mean, it's got the different wrinkles to it. So the Bears offensive team should be pretty similar to what they're going up against if they face this kind of defense every day in practice. So, for me, again, it's going to be establishing the rushing attack and David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert, and then working your play action. That's how the system works is get that running game going. And now you got your play action, whether it's, it's passes downfield and rollouts and all that stuff. But I mean, Texans, they play tough. They play hard. Those two players that you mentioned, Jordan, Petrie is a kid of safety. I liked higher. I had higher than Brisker, and the other kid, Stingley was one of my top cornerbacks as well. So obviously I'm higher than Gordon as well. But yeah, I mean, those are two guys that are young foundation pieces for the Texans, and they're playing well. So, they come in with talent. Obviously, Davis Mills is a second-year quarterback. I like our front four. I like the way our front four is playing. I like the way they're getting upfield and then getting pressure on the quarterback. It's just a matter of now, fooling Davis Mills and getting him, to throw us a couple picks. And I think that's where it starts. Right? Control the ball, allow Justin Fields to kind of open up the offense, hopefully a little bit, and then, see if he can make turnovers. But again, Davis Mills goes up against the same kind of defense in practice as well. So, he's going to be well prepared for this coming game as well here too. So I think these are going to be two teams that are going to be kind of evenly matched. And, do the Bears have a chance to win? Of course they have a chance to win. I just think that, keeping it close, play a clean game. One of the reasons why I think maybe the coaching staff might come back tomorrow and say the reason why Justin Fields only had 11 pass attempts, because time of possession. I mean, it was 20 minutes to 9 minutes in the first half. I think the final numbers were 37 minutes for the Packers and 22 minutes and 45 seconds for the Bears in terms of time possession. So I think, obviously the Packers had the ball much longer. And that goes hand in hand with the running attack, right? You can't stop the run. They're going to keep pounding the ball down your throat, and then you have to get them off the football field. So I think that's one of the reasons why the coaching staff is going to come back and say, well, we didn't have time of possession. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, I mean, incorporate the running game and then incorporate some passes downfield and just play clean football. I think that's how you're going to go ahead and I think beat the Texans. And I think are they going to beat them for sure? Like I don't know, but I think they're going to have a pretty good chance to beat them.
Real quick, we just want to shout out everybody in the chat room. Thank you for coming out, spending your evening with us. We appreciate you all. I mean, we're here for you all, and you guys bring the life to the party. And we don't want to drag it out too much longer. We want to get some quick final thoughts going around the table. But everybody in the chat, I feel you, and I could be more upset right now, but I believe in his coaching staff. Like Danny, I lost some money, but it's okay because I feel like I'm gonna make it back. I know I'm gonna make it back. I believe in his team. I believe in Justin Fields, but more importantly, like Matt Eberflus, I want to see how he bounces back, and I'm truly excited about next week. Jordan, I know I mistakenly said the Barfly Tailgate Show early on, but bro, tell everybody about what you're doing on the network, bro, and where they can find you, what you got going on.
Absolutely.
And any final thoughts?
No, again, and Tyler, Danny, you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for having me on and talking about this. I appreciate it. Chat, thank you all so much. As Tyler was saying, we do this for you. I mean, yes, we would always find a way to talk to each other, shoot the shit, but really this is done because of your interaction. So we appreciate you all hanging out. You can find me, little name tag down here, Jordan T. Silvera at Twitter. I do a top 10 takeaways immediately at the conclusion of every game. That's been up since the game ended. It should be the newest thing. It's a long thread if you're just looking for my immediate takeaways. I'm typing it up during the game. Other than that, do Bare Necessities every Saturday morning, breaking down takeaways and keys to victory for that opponent, pivotal plays from the last week, and a general Q&A. And then, of course, Sunday mornings doing the Barfly Tailgate Show with Aaron Current, Chris Watts, Ryan Kirkland Billings, and that's where you can find me. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, in terms of final thoughts for me, again, it was a game that I really didn't have high expectations in terms of Bears winning. I think they were one bad call away from making a 1-score game late in the fourth quarter, which to me shows a good effort, a good fight in this team, a good belief in the coaching staff. So they should have been 17-24 in that fourth quarter, but it didn't go our way. A lot of people thought they were going to be 0-2. They're 1-1. That's a positive. They have a little bit of a soft schedule coming up here, if you want to call it soft, with the Texans and the Giants coming in. I know the Giants are 2-0, but that's a pretty soft 2-0. I mean, they could have lost that first game easily. And again, this past weekend and today they played the Carolina Panthers with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. So that tells you what they went up against today. So I don't think the Giants are any sort of juggernaut as well. So I think these next two games are very winnable for the Bears. But again, they're going to kind of have to build off of that week one positive vibe, right? Which is defense, special teams, play clean, free football, and offensively just kind of work your way up in terms of establishing that passing attack to kind of complement your rushing attack. So if you can do that, and then just pull up a couple of victories here, I think if you go into the next two games and you're 3-1, I think everyone's going to be excited about this football team.
1,000%, Danny and Jordan. Like this was great. We hope John has a good, peaceful evening. And as we get out of here, the chat, you all were incredible. Final thoughts. I'm freaking still jacked for this season. I fully believe the Bears are going to get over 6 wins. This was just a test of that division, see where we're at in class. But I just want to see how we bounce back the next 2-3 weeks, especially against the Vikings. Danny, my opinion, the next 2 games, the next test is how we do again. Can we be better than the Packers were against the Vikings? That's what I want to see going forward. But we're 1-1. But besides that, we appreciate you all. Don't take this to heart. Like, everyone, real quick before we get out of here, have an amazing freaking week. Like, win, lose, or draw, guess what? The players got paid already. All right? So don't let this impact your week. Have an amazing freaking day. Wake up tomorrow. It's already tomorrow. Punch Monday in the face. Be great. Be amazing. One thing I'll leave you with, I wake up with gratitude so I don't walk around with entitlement. Show love. Be grateful. And just be the best you can be. And you know what? It's all going to work out. You know what? And then we got a Bears Super Bowl coming up within the next 10 years. I'll put it 10 years on it. And so, Bears Nation from the Barroom Network, we truly appreciate you all. Danny, Jordan, my brother John, Aldo, the wizard behind the curtain. We love you all here at the Barroom Network. Shout out to Mike North. Blessed me this morning. And the Barfly Tailgate Show, John and Toot. You got John Toots, fantasy football. We got so many things popping on the Barroom Network. Follow the channel. Put your notifications on for the YouTube channel. And we're down tonight, but we will be back. Good night.
Bear down, everybody.
Thank you.